hold you as long as you need, but I'm sorry, I can't feel anything. That's what I found myself saying to my wife. That is not a fun place to be. Sometimes we think we're protecting ourselves by the walls we're building, but the more we numb, the more we have to numb. And in the beginning, for me, it was sorrow. I was trying to protect myself from the grief that I felt when my mom passed. But as time pressed on, I ended up getting down to just two emotions. I had anger and laughter. Those were the only two things I was able to really express. Everything else had become a whitewashed gray. Everything else had become numb. When I held my wife on that day, I longed to comfort her. I loved her. I just had lost capacity to express that love due to me trying to protect myself from a world that I thought wanted to hurt me. In the Bible, it talks about leprosy a lot. And I think leprosy actually represents a spiritual connotation. See, one of the things that leprosy does is it causes the loss of feeling. And for a long time, leprosy, they thought that people would just lose digits. They would lose fingers and hands. And I heard somewhere that what actually happens is because they lose feeling, a lot of times they'll end up hurting themselves. They'll cut themselves on something. And then because they don't feel the pain, those wounds will get infected. And what they actually found out, and sorry for the graphic detail, is many times in situations where people thought they just lost a finger, what was actually happening is rats and mice were sneaking in at night and gnawing away at the finger until eventually it was lost. Their lack of feeling caused them to lose things that never need be lost. And on that day when I felt the desire to comfort my wife, but the inability to experience the emotions that were going on, I felt like a spiritual leper. And welcome back to The Deathless Dad. I'm Matt. In this episode, we're going to talk about what helped redeem all the emotions I had sacrificed on the altar of self-preservation. And that's vulnerability. Vulnerability not as the average person thinks of vulnerability, but vulnerability as a weapon that can be wielded, an invitation that can be sent to invite others out of the struggle they're in into the freedom that we've found. See, I'm not looking for a shoulder to cry on. I'm not looking for someone who can tell me it's going to be okay. Those things are nice, and there's times we all need that. But when I'm speaking about vulnerability, I'm speaking about it as a weapon I wield, and it's a calculated risk I take. I lower my guard so that others can lower theirs. What do I mean? Let me give you a real life example. When I finally experienced peace, genuine, sincere peace, I had known a lifetime where I had never known what peace felt like. In fact, I remember I used to chase things like buzzes or a good time or relax. And I was always looking for rest. I was always looking for peace for my soul. To the point, at one point in my life, I used to have to drink just to shut my brain down. And when I finally experienced peace that came about as a relationship with God, I was angry because I had been in church for so long and nobody ever spoke to me about peace. Sure, the guy on the stage did. That was his job. But no one else had ever spoke to me about the availability of peace. And when I finally experienced it, I started sitting down with people. But I wasn't telling them the story of just how God had saved me from peace. I was telling them the ugly story of where I was. And I can't tell you how many times the number of physical reactions I saw when I would share my story Because at one point I put myself in the hospital drinking, had a blood alcohol of 0.38, nearly died. And I would say that, and I watched time and time again as people went, I am so glad you shared that. I got to tell you this. And I realized so many people were walking around trying to carry the perception they thought that people wanted to see. And so few people were being genuine and actually being real. And it wasn't just with people of faith. I started experiencing this everywhere. I found the more I removed my shell, the more others would remove their shell. And the more I was sincere with others, the more others would be sincere with me. Yes, there's always the chance that I'm going to go ahead and share the ugliness of my past, and someone's going to go, loser, or someone's going to go, I can't believe you. I had an experience once. I remember I was talking, this is even before all this, but I work in sales, and I was talking with someone, and I said, I had made a mistake, and I'm sorry. I do make mistakes from time to time, but if I make a mistake, I'll own my mistake. So I'm sorry. I'm sure you've made mistakes before, so you understand what that's like. No. And I'm like, you never made a mistake. And at that point I lost it, because I'm like, come on, if you're gonna try to sit across the conversation of me and you're gonna act like you're flawless, you're perfect, probably you lost credibility, right? We've all made mistakes, but there's always the chance that when you own a weakness, someone's gonna try to judge you for it. Vulnerability is not just a weapon, it's a measure of strength. You tell me, who's more impressive? The person who has Teflon skin, that wears the full suit of armor, that can walk through everything because nothing actually reaches them? The callous hand that feels nothing? Or the person that's hand is rubbed raw but still grabs the rope because their family member's on the other side? They know they're going to experience pain. They know it's going to hurt. But in spite of what it's going to cost them, they do what's in the benefit of others. To me, that is a way higher margin of strength. When I have an exposed nerve, when I have an exposed sensitivity, that is way riskier. In some occasions, we do have to risk grabbing the rope with raw hands, and it sucks. It hurts, it's emotional, but I tell you, in all the areas I've ever been vulnerable, I have found freedom. Now, you have to be smart. I'm not saying just go blast your information to anyone. I'm saying find a group of people who care. But you know what I found is the more that I've shared a portion of my life, the more others have shared a portion of their life. I said this in the last episode when I talked about friendship. I have way more friends today. The reason of that is I've been vulnerable. I've gone around and I've gone, hey, let me remove my mask. Or at least the perception you think I have of a mask. I'm not trying to put on a show for you. At the end of the day, I am who I am. You either love me or you don't. And that's okay. But most of the time, when I'm sharing things that would be considered vulnerability, like me being in the hospital, that's so old. I don't even know, 15 years. It's not something that's present. It's not something that I struggle with. It's not something that I identify with. The person that was, that guy's gone. I don't even relate to that person. I understand that person because I've been them. But to me now, it's just a scar. A scar is something that used to be a deep wound that's been healed. And I can touch this all day long, and it does not hurt in the least. All it is a cool story I get to tell, and something people ask me about. And it doesn't bother me in the least. That's what vulnerability looks like. And every time I talk about these stories, when somebody is fresh and they have the thing that is open, knowing that it'll heal over, and not only will it heal over, but eventually it'll become a story. And it may be even a story that they can tell not just from a place of shame, but a place of triumph. I'm inviting people into hope for the future. And the more you invite people into hope for their future, the more they cheer for your future. And it's not about doing to get, it's just a byproduct. Again, a rising tide raises all ships. You cannot elevate others for a consistent period of time and not find yourself rising up. I will tell you, normally when others are elevated, I'm underneath them with my hands holding them up. So for a season, they're always higher than I am. They're always receiving more, and they probably always will be. And I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm living out what I'm called to live out, and in that, it is good. This is going to be an ongoing thematic theme throughout this channel, because vulnerability has been so impactful in my life. I cannot count the number of friends. I cannot count the number of lives I've seen impacted. I cannot tell you how many people I've seen gain hope because I was willing to share something that was dark and scary at one point in my life. I share it and I speak about it because I want others to experience what I've experienced. And I want a world where we're trying to help each other. I thank you for sticking around. And I look forward to going ahead and talking more about this and some other things that have been very, very impactful in my life. Appreciate your time. Thank you and God bless.